Welcome to the Positively Joyful Productivity Show, where joy isn't a reward for productivity, it's the secret ingredient. I'm your host, Nicole Louise, coach, wife, and dog mom. This is a no-kid zone by design, created for women who are child-free, childless, or an empty nester embracing your next chapter. You all belong here. Each week, you'll hear inspiring stories from women around the world and learn tools, mindset shifts, and practical strategies for living a joyful life. You'll also discover the science behind why focusing on joy fuels focus, motivation, and lasting productivity. Let's get inspired, get organized, and create a life full of freedom, focus, and joy. Hello, and welcome to the Positively Joyful Productivity Show. I'm very happy for today's guest. I have with me Renske, and she is a behavioral scientist and productivity psychologist. So she's got all the credentials to help us out today. And even better, in my new resource, I have 40 AI tools that I've personally curated and put together for you. And she's going to talk about one specifically that is actually one that I did not love. So I'm very happy to have her here today explaining all about this amazing tool that some of you are going to really love. So she's going to talk all about Todoist. So Renske, welcome to the show. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you. Happy to be here.
All right. So, Renske, you're clearly a power user of Todoist. So tell us what first drew you to this tool and why do you think it works so well for you compared to other task management tools?
Well, what initially drew me to Todoist was actually something quite simple, but I think incredibly important. It's not tied to a work account.
Uh-huh.
So that meant for me that no matter how my professional life evolved, whether I changed jobs or, as it turned out, became a full-time entrepreneur, I could always take the system with me. So that was very important for me. And another thing I loved was the email integration. So every
Mm,
project that you have in Todoist has its own unique email address. So I can forward an email directly into the right project. And that little feature alone solved a lot of friction in my day-to-day. That's a really great
mm,
one.
okay.
But I think a deeper reason why I stuck with Todoist is what I call over-organization. I think it's a
Mm-hmm.
word I've learned from a colleague back in the day. I see it all the time actually with myself and my clients. And it's like many people fall into the trap of over engineering their task systems, like too many tags, too many flags, too many colors, filters, exhausting. And
Mm-hmm.
Todoist on the surface, I think, is really clean and simple.
Mm-hmm.
Underneath it, it has a lot of powerful features you can unlock if you need them. So it supports both minimalism and complexity, and it doesn't force either on you. So I really like that part.
Mm-hmm.
And honestly, I really also like the people behind the product. So I'm a part of their ambassador program, and I get to test new features early on and give feedback to them. Feels like they really care, not just about productivity, but the human behind everything. And of course, I've tried others. I've tried like Trello and Microsoft To Do, of course. A lot of my clients use only Microsoft, Google Tasks, Apple Reminders. But at some point, it's less about the tool and more about choosing one that matches your actual needs and then committing to it. Like, this is my task manager. I'm going to go for it.
Mm-hmm.
So if I can offer one tip to anyone who's listening and exploring task managers, don't just pick the one with the most features or the most trendiest interface or something like that. First, ask yourself, what in my current system isn't working and what would make it simpler? And then find a tool that solves that problem, not someone else's problem, but yours. I
Mm-hmm.
think that's where real productivity begins, actually. Do you agree with me?
Oh, 100%. Yeah,
Okay.
I am the queen of routine. So I set up a routine for most things in my life. And I always say you have to have your routine or a system in place first before you even know what tool, in my case, I teach AI tools. So what AI tool is even going to work for you? You don't want to just go hop on the Chat GPT bandwagon because everyone else is doing that. You need to know why you need it and what system is how it's gonna benefit you. So absolutely, I agree with you.
Yeah. Actually, yeah, start with yourself, not with the tool. Like when you look at a website of a new tool and like, oh, it can do this, 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 and then you're thinking, how can I use that tool in my life? But actually, it's the other way around. What do I need, and how can the tool serve me in my needs?
Exactly. Exactly. So you mentioned that you can email tasks directly into Todoist, and each project gets its own email. So can you explain that just a little bit further?
Yes, of course. Emailing tasks into Todoist is one of my favorite features, not just because it's convenient, but because it supports a much bigger principle in my workflow, and it's knowing exactly where things live. So
Mm,
that is something I teach all my clients. I ask them a few simple questions, actually very easy. It's like all my emails live dot dot dot. Fill in the blanks. All my
mhm.
notes live dot dot dot. In my case, Notion, I think you use it too. All my notes are
I
over
do.
there. All my tasks live dot dot dot. It sounds very basic, but it's incredibly powerful because when your brain doesn't have to guess where something is, you free up so much mental energy. So that is why I don't use my email inbox as my task list, and I don't use my Notion as my task list. Like the
Mm,
email inbox is for my emails, Notion is for my notes. That's it. So if I read an email and I decide this contains a task for me, I immediately forward it to Todoist. And like I said, every project in Todoist has its own unique email address. So I've saved those actually as contacts in my email program. So
mm,
like Todoist, focus list, Todoist, inbox, and so on. So then I can forward the email. And when an email contains something I need to do, say something that requires deep focus, I just like forward it to the focus list in Todoist. And what I actually really like is you can edit the subject line of the email before you send it, and that subject line becomes the name of the task. So I'll rewrite it in my own words, make it actionable and clear. And I think here's where Todoist really shines. You can use the subject line to include like a priority. I don't use that, but you can type like P1 or P2, and then it becomes priority one, priority two. I don't use that one, but I do use it for due dates. So you type like date tomorrow or date next Monday, something like that, to the subject
mhm,
line, and Todoist recognizes that and sets the due date accordingly. So no need to go in later and manually adjust it. That is something I really don't like about Microsoft To Do, for example. I need to go in later and adjust it.
mhm,
So all of this means that when I sit down and go to work and open Todoist, everything is already in the right place. So it's
mm.
labeled and it's ready to go. And that clarity and structure combined with the flexibility is exactly why, yeah, it's something I really like and kind of a game changer, actually.
Yeah, it sounds like it. So just so I'm understanding correctly, so you email tasks to Todoist, and then it filters based on the subject line of the email. So it'll put it in project A, project B, whatever it's assigned to. Am I understanding that correctly?
Yeah, so like the focus task list, for example, that has its own email address, so it's in my contacts list. So I
Mhm.
forward the email to that email address. And
Ah,
then it automatically goes to the focus tasks list and it has the right due date. So I really like that one. And there's part of Todoist that it has like all the due dates and everything, like a sort of calendar. When are my
mhm.
tasks due? So I can, the due date, it uses that to put it in order. And that really helps me to know which deadline is approaching or what I should do next.
Yeah. Yeah, that sounds pretty automated. I like that system that you just, send it to the email and it sort of files everything for you. That's insanely helpful.
Yeah, yeah, and it's like I know that it's managed, you know. I can just let it go. I archive the email or I delete the email when I know I don't need it anymore. The email is always an attachment, a comment actually in the task in Todoist, so I can always open it again, even if I
Mhm.
delete the email in my email program. So that works really well for me, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, it sounds like a really great tool. I'm gonna have to revisit this. You're very easily convincing me I need to go try this out again.
Always see if it works for you. That's my motto. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. So, since Todoist now has AI features, how are you using them?
Yes, I've been experimenting with them.
Hmm.
They're not perfect yet. So what you said, not really your favorite. I recognize it actually. They're definitely evolving, worth
Hmm.
exploring. One feature I've tried is letting Todoist AI generate the task description based on the email I forwarded. So
Ah.
normally, like I said, I would rewrite the subject line and make it myself actionable and clear, but I've been testing what happens when I don't and let AI interpret it. And I think the results are mixed actually.
Hmm.
When the email is really something I need to do, it does a pretty decent job. I
Hmm.
would do it the same way. But when I've delegated something, I used to do it for that as well. I'll return to that in a minute. But say I've asked someone to help me to send me something, something like that. I delegated something, or maybe to my VA.
Hmm.
I still tends to frame it like it's my responsibility. So that's a subtle but important distinction for me. I
Hmm.
actually like I have a dedicated follow-up project in Todoist for all the things I'm waiting on. So things I've delegated or that depend on someone else, but AI doesn't pick up on that yet. So that's kind of my manual correction that needs to happen.
Yeah.
And another feature I've activated that is a plugin actually, AI Assistant it's called. So
Hmm.
you have to plug it in first, and it gives you suggestions for breaking a task down in subtasks or improving the clarity of the task description. I think it's helpful for more common projects like when you're a researcher and have to do a research report, or when you have a product launch as an entrepreneur, and AI can tap into like the standard processes and offer helpful like checklists,
Hmm.
subtasks. So, but for example, I recently had to rewrite an implementation guide for a client, and AI suggested subtasks like reviewing the structure and checking the table of contents. That was all fine.
Hmm.
But that said, it also just suggested things like send it to the printer, but it was digital, or check in with your team. And I'm like, I don't have a team. So it still needs some human context.
Hmm.
I think they are helpful companions, the AI features right now from Todoist, but really not replacements yet. So they're great for inspiration, especially when you're like, you have a big task and you think, where should I start? It can help you, get along with your project, but it still needs a bit of guidance.
Yeah.
So human who actually knows what's going on still needs to guide it. I'm not really enthusiastic yet, as you can notice maybe from my answer,
Hmm.
but I think I'm very hopeful.
Yeah. Well, and so I'm in the AI world. I listen to podcasts about it. I'm kind of in the research of it. And
Mhm.
I can say from what I understand is that many of these companies that are using AI tools may not be using, the best version of, Chat GPT or Claude or Copilot, whatever LLM, they're built upon. And with that said, I know ChatGPT just released, at the time of this recording, they just released GPT-5, which is the latest model, and it's bigger and better and more powerful and all of that. And so I think what we're going to see is these companies that are using AI systems, in their platforms. I think that we are going to see improvements. Um, and I've used a couple of different AI tools that were very basic and not great at all. And then I've used other ones that are, like you said, they're promising. Like they've got some good starting points, but you see where improvements can be made. And so I think we're heading in that direction, which is going to be really exciting to see, how things improve in that area. So,
Yeah, and maybe Todoist will allow us to make like a personal prompt, like this is how I want you to work for me, how
hmm.
I like my tasks being made, like something like that. So I think, yeah, it's promising, but as well that ChatGPT 5 also had some hiccups at the moment. So everything is evolving
Yes.
around AI, and let's just stay hopeful.
Yeah. For sure. For sure. I know things change by the minute, so it's hard to keep up, but so this kind of piggybacks on what we were just saying. So what are your thoughts on AI tools in general? Just, not necessarily Todoist, but AI tools in general. Do you find them easy to use or does it take a little getting used to?
Well, I've always actually been a bit of an early adopter when it comes to digital too, so I jumped into AI with a lot of curiosity. Didn't find it hard to get used to. It's actually quite intuitive once you
Hmm.
start playing with it. Learn prompting early on, very important, of course.
Hmm.
That said, I think the real question isn't maybe whether the tools are easy to use, it's whether we're using them in ways that actually serve us, I think.
Hmm.
So one of the things I always come back to, both for myself and my clients, is like, what do I need? What's the problem I'm trying to solve?
Hmm.
And then do I invite AI into the process? I actually work a lot with Gen Z, and I recently had a Gen Z client tell me it feels like if I don't use AI for something, I'm being inefficient. Like I
Hmm.
feel stupid when I don't use it, something like that, she said. And that really stuck with me.
Hmm.
Because there's kind of a pressure now, like you're doing something wrong if you don't involve AI, but that's not joy. It's like tech anxiety or something like that. So I know
Yeah.
there's a growing body of research, some of it questionable, about how AI might harm our thinking. You know, the
Hmm.
widely circulated study about how AI could cause brain rot.
Yes, the MIT study. Hmm.
Yes, exactly. But when you look at it closely, I don't need to tell you this, I think, but they basically compared groups, like one wrote essays themselves and one had AI do it, and then they tested who remembered more. And of course, the group who actually wrote the essay remembered it better. Well, that's not brain rot, it's common sense, actually. But I do believe there's a risk of becoming too passive. So I actually
Hmm.
read this morning a compelling study about radiologists who relied heavily on AI to detect cancer cells in colon scans. And when they
Hmm.
were later tested without AI, they performed much worse than radiologists who hadn't used AI at all until this
Hmm.
moment. And I think that's a real warning. Like if you let AI do all the thinking, you kind of lose touch. And
Hmm.
that's something I noticed in myself too, actually, being honest. I realized I wasn't allowing myself to just mull over an idea anymore. So the moment I had a thought or idea, I would just throw it into AI to brainstorm. I'm really using my hands right now. Nobody can see this on the podcast. But some of my most joyful moments come from that slow creative simmer, like letting an idea unfold, getting excited about it, how it could help me or a client or whatever. And AI can shortcut that process, but sometimes it shortcuts the joy too. So
Hmm.
now I set some boundaries. I'll often use tools like Perplexity. I like that one to get to speed, up to speed on recent research, but I stay very aware that not everything that it serves up is reliable or evidence-based. Actually, Perplexity, it has like an image of being very reliable, but I've noticed too that it doesn't always use the right tools, sources. So I think digital literacy is really a thing, and it will really stay a thing. At the end of the day, AI is just a tool, only as good as the quality of what you feed it, or like people
Hmm.
say most of the time, that when you put garbage in, you get garbage out. So I
Yeah.
find it incredibly helpful, yes, but I never want to replace it with the part of me that like reflects or challenges or brings intuition. That's something I want to keep. And I think as humans also, I think we really feel when something is inauthentic. Like we sense when content is polished or templated. And so even if AI suggests something for me, and like a post on LinkedIn is like, you should do the call to action better. And I'm like, no, I'm staying with my own messy one.
Yes. I
That.
think, yes, I completely agree with everything that you just said. And I want to circle back to that MIT study. I think that you are the first person I have spoken to who actually has the same opinion that I do, that it didn't really show us anything we didn't know. And I've spoken with friends and other people in the business world, and everybody is like freaking out over this study. And I'm like, guys, we already knew that. Like, if you're using AI to write the paper, of course you're not going to remember it. That's, like you said, it's common sense. And so I really appreciated hearing you say that because I feel like I've been on an island alone.
Like they had 20 minutes to finish the essay, and it's with 54 people in the study. Like,
Mhm.
stop right now. This study is not, and the researchers themselves said it also. It has a lot of limitation. It's something to start with, not to think like this is the truth that we have to use for everything. No.
Yeah. Yeah. But nobody heard that part.
No, they're only reading like the first line, or yeah, I don't,
Mhm.
yeah. Well, okay,
Yeah.
we think the same, so.
Yeah. Yeah. But it's kind of ironic to me because people that are anti-AI, one of their arguments is that, oh, well, people who, look up something online and they get the AI response, they're only reading the AI response. And then they did the exact same thing with this study. They weren't reading, through the entire study or reading the entire article about it where it said, this is not the end all be all. So just funny to me, the contradictories that are out there. But
They had to write an essay in 20 minutes. Of course, they're not going to read it.
yes. Yep.
So, but I know future studies, I will keep reading them. I'm interested,
Right.
but it's just one study and it wasn't. This was really exploratory. It wasn't really a
Hmm.
good.
Yes. Yeah. And I also love that you said, you're aware that you don't want this to like take over that critical thinking process that you have and, mulling over those ideas. I think more people are starting to realize that too, that AI is a tool and it is not going to replace your thinking unless you let it, of course. So, yeah,
Actually
great.
thinking about buying like a whiteboard here in my office. So then it will encourage me when you're talking about habits, when I walk past it every day, it will encourage me to do my brainstorming myself, like make a mind map. And then when I'm somewhere along the process thinking, what would AI think of this? Then I would incorporate it.
Yeah, for sure. I love that idea. I actually have a whiteboard. I need to put it back up on the wall.
Yes.
Oh, so if someone is listening and they're wondering about Todoist, but they might feel overwhelmed or don't know where to start, what would be the first thing that you would have them start doing today?
Well, first, take a deep breath. You don't need to use every feature, like I've mentioned earlier. In fact, I recommend starting with the free version because it
Mhm.
gives you 5 projects. So it's like a good limit, and it's honestly more than enough. I
Mhm.
have a simple setup actually. So if you're listening, you can borrow it, steal it. One project for all my focus tasks. So everything that requires my attention, deep focus. One
Mhm.
I simply call other tasks, like things more routine, easier things.
Mhm.
The third one, like I've mentioned earlier, follow up. So everything that I've asked someone else, I want to keep track of those. There's actually one I call later, and it's something I like ideas, dreams, or something I want to do in my business maybe later on, but not right
Mhm.
now. I park
Yeah.
it there. And then the fifth one, that is something very specific for you, something you really need, and you want to park it right there. For me, it is to buy. It's a space I drop things that I think I need, but I want to pause before purchasing.
Mm.
I drop everything in there, like books I want to read or gadgets I think I need, something like that. And then I later decide if it's worth actually buying. And more
Mm.
often than not, I realize I don't need it after all. So that's an important project for me.
Mhm.
But another key feature of Todoist is the inbox. So it's very easy. It's like the catch-all tray for everything that pops into your mind throughout the day. I actually combine that one. I don't want to make it too complicated, but it's a very easy app. It's called Brain Toss. Do you know it?
Oh, I don't know.
Okay. Well, it's very easy. It lets you speak, write, or take a photo, and then you can send it straight uh, to an email address. So I actually have the email address of my Todoist inbox in BrainToss. It also works with my Apple Watch, so I can talk like James Bond in my in my watch,
hmm
and it will transcribe what I've said into my watch or my smartphone, and I will see it in my Todoist. So now you have like a setup. So you capture ideas in the inbox, and then a couple of times a week you go through it and decide this should go to focus, this should go to other tasks, this should go to follow up, etc. So
Mm.
that's a very easy system. So ignore the flags, the labels, the filters for now. You don't need them, they're useful, but only after you've lived in the system and start to think, I wish I could just see X, and then you can create a filter for it. It's very easy to do is to create a filter and to just see what you want to see.
Mm-hmm.
Don't use it in the beginning. Same goes for templates. Todoist will suggest a lot of them. And actually, if you download it for the first time or if you start to use it for the first time, it will give you a template already. And my suggestion is delete it instantly.
Ah,
Start from
okay.
scratch, design your system around your brain, your life. No suggestions from others, including Todoist. So I think productivity, said it already, it's not about using more tools, but it's about creating less friction between
Mhm.
you and what matters. Keep it simple. So start with 5 projects. I do use the due dates a lot. I think that's an important one, but only use due dates when it's absolutely necessary, not like when you like it to be done, but only when it really has a due date. And build from there.
Mm. So it sounds simple enough. So to my listeners, definitely go check out Todoist, see if it's going to work for you, and follow Renska's tips, and you're off and running. So, all right. So before we wrap up, Positively Joyful Productivity Show, we align with joy. So, Renska, I would love to know what is one thing that you do for yourself that brings you joy?
A lot of things bring me joy, but one thing that brings me immense joy for myself and a few others is going out to dinner.
Ah,
But not in the rushed, let's go grab a bite kind of thing, but I really like fine dining.
mm-hmm.
So with my boyfriend, family, or friends, we'll book a long dinner, like 5, 6, 7 courses
Mm-hmm.
with the wine and just settle in for hours. Like good people, good food, great conversation. That experience to me is pure joy.
Ah, yes. All right. So we're going to wrap it up. Renska, thank you so much for being here today, for taking the time to explain all of the amazing features of Todoist and how to get started easy and simply. And to my listeners, have a beautiful week ahead, and I will chat with you next week. Renska, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for inviting me.
Absolutely.